Hello and welcome back to On the House. Today we have Boris Murdjev. I first met Boris. We were going to TechPon, and there was one person who was reaching out to people before TechPon. This was the June TechPon 2025, and Boris was there, so he was pre-warming people. And anyway, we go to TechPon, and he's already. I think he booked the most meetings out of everybody. So this is a guy who, and I've heard from multiple accounts, everyone loves. He's a killer at sales, but he's working as a partnerships manager at Warmly, and he's someone we just need to kind of learn from. And so here we are today. Welcome, Boris. How you doing, mate?
Doing great. Thank you for the nice introduction. And yeah, I think you were actually the not the first, but the second person I met at the event. Like when there are like in-person events, I want to be as early as possible there. So I kind of like see one by one people coming in. It's a lot easier to like remember faces and maybe like go and talk to somebody. But yeah, it was a great experience in the first TechCon.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun. The first question for you, then,
Look,
obviously,
before you go to the question, you also stood out because you were the only person that brought a gift for Christian or Alex or both of them. Like you were the only one that brought, it was like a nice bottle. I don't know what it was, but you were the only person that brought a gift. So you also stood out.
there's some duty-free whiskey there. Appreciate that, but and I appreciate you remembering that. There's attention to detail. There's something that yeah is very unique about yourself. But first question then, you're wearing a cowboy hat, okay, and obviously it's a something that many of the Womanly crew wear. Has it had an impact on results either through partnerships or sales while you've been at Womanly? Do you think?
Um, I mean, like direct results on like having a higher conversion rate in sales. I don't think so because you really need to have the actual human skills. Like a cowboy hat will not help you close a deal, but it definitely helps on these like in-person events. As you know, like you were there at the first TechPon, it was super easy for me to talk with people, especially like them coming kind of like inbound to me at the event and like, hey, you're Boris, you're Wormly, just because of the hat. It happened the same thing. It happened in Amsterdam at the Sauciest event, and then I was at TechPon again last week. And here's a funny story. At the first day of the event, I had the hat on again, and a lot of people were coming in. But the second day, there was a clay event, and I didn't wear the hat. Not a single person came to talk to me, except the ones that actually know me in person, like Alex and Bill.
Wow. So do you think in terms of foot in the door for in-person events, it's a big helper.
Yeah, for us, it definitely is. It makes a difference. Like people automatically recognize you. They know who you're, like which company you're with. They almost always know your name because like we all wear the hats on LinkedIn as well. I always tend to match my LinkedIn profile picture and my actual appearance at the event before I go there. So like it's easier for people to recognize. But yeah, like it's a nice strategy to stand out. Like there are not a lot of people wearing cowboy hats at events.
I love that. Awesome. Moving on then to obviously you're a partnerships manager at Warmly. I also want to say that every time I speak to someone who either worked at Warmly or currently works there, they were like, love Boris. There's always just everyone's just telling me they love Boris. So there's just that I get that honestly quite a lot. I had it today even. But when it comes to so obviously your partnerships, what is partnerships at Warmly? And yeah, and what percentage of revenue is actually coming from partnerships? How important is it to Warmly as a whole?
Yeah, so not a lot of people know, but I joined Warmly not as a partnership. I was a full cycle AE at the beginning. Then I got my first kid. I went on paternity leave, and then when I came back, the CEO Max was like, "Hey, there's this partnership opportunity, like the side of the business that nobody's really managing. We don't have a lot of partners. It's like five, less than five partners active. Like go and figure it out. Like let's see if it could work. If it doesn't work, you'll go back to being an AE, right? Like no huge risk. So I went in and for the first, I would say like 60, 90 days, I was trying to understand what partnership is. Like, how are other companies doing it? I met this cool guy called Nelson Wang, um, who's doing consulting right now for like partnerships in companies like Instantly, like all these cool names we know in the GTM space. He actually built out the entire partnership program for Airtable, which is, I think, don't get me by the number here, but I think it's $500 million partnership program for Airtable, which is crazy. And this is the person that I kind of like started learning from, like what are the things that I need to avoid in the very beginning and what are the things I need to focus in the very beginning. When you ask me like what's the percentage of revenue, it's really hard to track. And I'm having these conversations internally with Max and Keegan, the head of revenue, because it's one thing to know direct partnership in like referrals. Like for example, you come in and you say like, "Hey, I have John from XYZ. He wants to take a look at Warman." That's a direct referral. But what about the people that will see a webinar? What about the people that will see a post from a partner? What about the people that just, like heard about Warmly from a partner in a conversation? It's really hard to track those, but they're coming to the website, they're booking meetings, they're talking with AEs, and they're closing his deals. So right now we're at in a stage where we try to figure out, all right, like how do we track partner influence pipeline, which is super super hard. So when we are talking about direct pipeline, it's between 10 and 20%. When we talk about influenced, my guess probably a lot more than that, like maybe 30, 40, but I can't really track it right now. So that's what we're working on as a next step.
Wow, 10 and 20%, but is the bare minimum though. And then obviously the harder to track stuff, that's a pretty good justification, isn't it, to have a partnerships team.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm curious to know like what actually like is a partnership and what are the types of partnerships. So like I'm thinking off the top of my head, like you can give someone access to your tool, they can use it, and then they can share links with people, and then you can use UTM parameters, and you know who's like signed up and da da da. But are there like there's obviously like other types of partnerships, like if you wanted to partner with Clay, which I know you're partnering with different tools. So, what are the different types of partnerships you're going after, and how does that actually, yeah, how do they all feed into each other?
Yeah, so it's all over the place. You have data partnerships, which is basically like we're using Clearbit, we're using demand base, we use RB2B vector to feed into our waterfall and get the most data possible and with the highest quality. Then you have integration partnerships like Outreach, like SalesLoft, like HubSpot, like Salesforce, Slack, and so on. Then you have tech partnerships, which are kind of like it could be both data and integration, but it's like these tools that we kind of like complement each other, right? For example, like you get the data from Warmly and then you push that data into an outreach sequence, or you push that data into a HeyReach sequence or whatever, right? Or a SalesLoft sequence. So those are kind of like my favorite ones because you don't really have to work on a lot of those to get really, really big results, right? But it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of people, kind of like being in like part of the process on both sides, and then you have a lot of agency partnerships. We specifically focus on HubSpot ecosystem service providers and some Clay experts because it just makes sense. Like if they're using HubSpot, if they're using Clay, chances are they want to use something like Warmly, or they're already using something that maybe doesn't work super, super well. So we're trying to get these agencies educated enough into Warmly. We give them free accounts, we'll let them use Warmly, we'll let them see it themselves. And then if they really see the value, they can go and talk to their customers and like, hey, here's what I built out for my own agency. I think this would be a perfect fit for your business. And then that's how we get those like direct introductions. And then I would say like my least favorite would be affiliates, like people just let's go like making fake posts or whatever, like putting links and trying to attract visit to the site. I don't really focus on those. I don't really manage those or work with those. But yeah, there are also some people like yourself that make posts which are basically coming from you really like work, like you're using it, you're seeing value, and then you make the post because of that, not because of somebody paid you $100 to make a post.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like, there's a lot of people that post about tools just because they love the tool, and I think, yeah, I'm a big fan of Warmly. Like, I saw firsthand how you guys operate, so I just love the tool. I love your team. But yeah, I can imagine that they're not the best people the posts and the one on like are probably not the best place to focus on. But are
Yeah.
you personally, are you managing all of these partnerships together? Is that all you? All you doing that?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, I do get help like when it comes to like data partnerships. Sometimes we get the data team involved or the CEO. When we get some integration partnerships, if somebody wants to build a new integration, like direct integration with us, we have to kind of like involve our dev team. But when it comes to everything else, it's me, and now I have Voiden helping me out with some stuff around partnerships.
Awesome. Do you mind if we dig a little bit deeper into like the more technicalities of the individual partnerships? I mean, please, like, do say to me if you know you don't want to share this information, but kind of just think I'm thinking data partnerships, so like RB2B, which I think is an awesome one. Who's paying who? Like, how does that work? And then the same for like outreach tools. Like, if you partnering with a sequencer, um, how do you set those deals up, and and also I kind of not even just the deal, but how are you approaching that situation? Are you going directly to them? Are they coming to you? How are you negotiating? Just yeah. I mean, if you could walk us through an example, that would be really cool.
Yeah, well, I'll give an example. So if let's say like I don't want to reveal the name of the company because it's a work in progress, but it's a LinkedIn automation tool. So like I'm approaching them, and the reason why I'm approaching them is because this is what I like to do. Like I like these people. I know their product. I have used their product in the past, and I for a fact know that if they start using some signals, people that do outreach through their tool will see a lot more success in terms of conversions, connections accepted, and so on. So it naturally makes sense for me to reach out. Now, is it easy? Definitely not, because I had to meet these people in 3 in-person events, chase them around, try to talk to them, and eventually got them on a call last week. So it's been a work in progress for like months trying to get to these people. But the idea is super straightforward, right? Like we do the integration, and we're gonna share customer base through Crossbeam or overlaps in prospects, like mutual prospects, mutual ICP list that we want to go after, and we typically build a shared value proposition or joint value proposition, right? Like why does it make sense to use both? Why is it better instead of just using one or the other, right? And in this case, it just makes sense, right? Like if you do LinkedIn automation traditional way, you build a cold list, you try to reach out and try to pitch them something. Well, what if you can change this by not reaching out to anybody or people you think are interested? Reach out to people that are already showing interest, like they're already coming to your pricing page or already like visiting your website or some other specific pages. They're maybe looking at their competitors, they're researching some keywords on Google, they're maybe interacting already on LinkedIn posts with your competitors or specific keywords, specific authors. So that makes a lot more sense to connect with. Those are like the people you want to connect with. And naturally, people using LinkedIn automation tools, or let's call them something else like LinkedIn tools, will see better results in terms of higher conversion rate, higher connection rate, higher replies.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking as well, like, are you looking to sign with say one, or are you looking to try and get as many? I guess you got for you guys, you want to get as many integration partners as possible.
Not as many, not as many.
No.
I don't want the tool to be kind of like overwhelmed with a lot of integrations. Obviously, like the more we have, the better for our customers, but I don't want to have as many. I want to pick the top 3 best tools in each category. So when we say like LinkedIn, who are the top 3 tools that maybe you know? Those are the top 3 tools I wanna have as partners, as integration options. So our customers or freemium users can choose from 3 different providers. It's not just like one, you have to use this.
That's really interesting. I was going to ask you about what's your partnership strategy, and that kind of feeds into it. And part of me is thinking like on the one, and that's really good because it helps with cognitive load. Like, are people going to base their whole GTM tech stack around whether they have website traffic or not? So if they have Warmly, they can go, okay, what tools best integrate with Warmly? Well, HubSpot on the CRM, this LinkedIn tool, da 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 da. Or do you think it could have the adverse effect where people are like, there's not that many integrations here. Like I've got this tool, but it wants this tool. Like, do you think that Warmly is the kind of the centerpiece to their stack, and so people will switch other tools to
Well,
to to
that's
keep?
kind of like how we see Wormly, like sitting on top of all of your other technology and being the brain of it, because you're getting the warmest data possible out there for your sales and marketing team. And then it just orchestrates in which time what action should happen. Like, should it send an email through your sales engagement tool? Should it send a LinkedIn connection through your LinkedIn tool? Should it send a notification through Slack, no, Teams, or whatever you might be using internally? Should it update your CRM if that's HubSpot or Salesforce or something else? So it sits on top of all these tools. But to get another step back, like people are thinking about this. Like when you're a buyer and you want to buy something like Warmly for the first time, you will first want to know, is it going to integrate with my CRM? Do I need to change my CRM if I buy this tool? Do I also need to change my sales engagement tool? And if those answers are yes, it's a lot harder for you to buy. So that's why we want to have more integration, but not any integration out there, because like opening up new kind of like integration partners opens up a huge opportunity of like accounts that you haven't tapped into before that you can now kind of like work on. So it's like we're going one by one.
Nice. So let's talk about your strategy then. So you're thinking, let's think of the top three for each one, and then I guess you will then go, these are the CEOs, or these are the. Are you speaking to? Are you targeting the partnership managers, or you want to target as high as possible? That's another kind of side question. And then what what's your mindset towards that? Like you're only going to go for those three. You're going to have a couple of backups. Yeah, I would love to know how you actually then execute and how and how, like how you're actually doing it. What's your process of like getting that call, that first call booked and nurturing them?
Yeah, look, for any tech company that is like, we're gonna build an integration, it's almost always going to make sense because Crossbeam is kind of like always here in the play. And what Crossbeam does for the viewers that don't know about Crossbeam is it helps you share your data. So we're probably going after, let's say, 5,000 prospects right now. The integration partner is probably also doing the same thing. How many of those are overlapped? Probably a lot. You will be surprised how many. Usually it's like 50-60% of the same of those prospects are overlapped. So both companies are trying to get into those accounts. Well, if we build an integration, chances are it's going to be easier for both of us to sell into those, right? If we already have mutual customers, building an integration is going to help those mutual customers. They will stay longer with both companies. We probably have also mutual open opportunities. Like we're currently working and trying to close some deals, and maybe building this integration, or like at least giving them information that in 1 or 2 months is going to be done, can help you move that deal through the line. So that's kind of like the strategy. That's why it's, I would say, like it's a bit easier to get this accepted. Who do I reach out to? Mostly is the CEO. You will be surprised how many of these companies don't really have a partnership team or anybody managing partnerships. So it's either the CEO or it's like the head of marketing, which doesn't make really sense, or like the head of revenue, something along those lines. So I kind of like have to figure out first, like who's the person that manages these types of scenarios within their company and start that conversation. Like I always have 15-minute conversations as the first call. Like 15 minutes is more than enough to realize, like get the sense of the other person, get the energy and decide like, all right, like do I invest more time here, or maybe this doesn't make sense, right? And yeah, like if it makes sense, you kind of like both agree on that first call and you start building from there. So it's a long process. You don't build an integration in like a month. It usually takes like 3, 6 months, sometimes 9 months until everything is kind of like brought together, and then you can publish that and start kind of like do co-marketing activities, cross-selling and stuff like that.
Wow, so it takes 9 months on average, that typically to be able to publish. How long would you say it takes to kind of come to an agreement? Is that like you say you're doing the 15-minute call? And then is it like the call after that, you're both like, yeah, this makes sense. So maybe a couple of
Oh,
weeks, a month?
that has never happened, especially not with like integration partners. I would say like you have at least 6 to 10 calls before you get to an actual agreement that, all right, we're gonna sign, we're gonna start building something. Before that is just like talking through details, right? Like what makes sense, who are the people that can use this, do we have all these overlaps that I was talking about, when does it make sense to like do an official launch, does it make sense to do a webinar. You have to kind of like prepare all those different things, right? So it takes time.
Yeah, and I can see how heavy, like how the sales skills enable like a good partnerships manager, because you are going out there targeting an individual, and then you're going through a bunch of, and you were saying you're in AE, so it's like, and then you're actually like jumping on like 10 calls with them and you're answering objections. So it's, even though maybe in some aspects it might feel like a little bit easier because there's a win, but I guess with sales there's a win-win as well. You're finding the win-win, so it sounds like it's pretty similar, like similar skill set.
Yeah,
um yeah.
it definitely helps having the sales background, getting into partnerships. Like that's my personal opinion. I don't know like if there are some other partnership managers that don't have any sales experience before. I highly doubt it. Because you kind of like need to have the skills of negotiating, reaching out to people, talking, handling those objections. You're just like not really selling something that is an X amount of dollars, right? You're trying to sell an idea, which sometimes could be even harder than selling an actual product. So selling an idea, something like, like the movie Fugazi doesn't exist. It doesn't exist yet. It's just an idea, and you're trying to kind of like sell that to them. So eventually somebody buys in and understands that it makes sense, it's logical, and then you kind of like start building it out.
It's kind of like pre-selling, although I guess the only difference is if you're if you are haven't, because you haven't got a product, but you have got the warmly name. You have got the warmly name that you can say, look, we're a good bunch of people. We're at this kind of level. Da 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 da. Um, do you have metrics that you're do you set targets, like monthly targets, quarterly, yearly? Is that you who sets them? Is it Max or the C, like the C suite that set them? And how do they like typically look for you?
Yeah, so at the beginning, as we didn't know what we were doing, obviously, the head of revenue was setting up the goals, which was always tied into revenue, right? It's still at that stage, but what I'm trying to kind of like present to the CEO and the head of revenue, I already did it to the head of revenue, but I now have to present to the CEO is we have to stop looking at partnerships as a revenue source because it's not it, right? Like if you look at partnerships as a revenue source, it's just an outbound motion with a different name, right? Like you're trying to go out there, send a bunch of emails, send a bunch of LinkedIn profiles, LinkedIn connections or whatever, and then get somehow meetings booked for the AEs. In my opinion, that's just another outbound motion. Partnerships is a lot more than that. It's a lot more than that. So right now, it's the goal is X amount of revenue, X amount of demos booked, X amount of sales qualified opportunities, X amount of net new partnerships signed, right? And it makes sense. Like it's working to some extent right now. We're tracking like the direct ones. It's hard to track the influence ones, and that's why I'm trying basically to present this idea that partnership is not a revenue channel. Partnership is a support channel. Because what partners do on LinkedIn and make posts about Warmly helps marketing. How do you track that? You don't. You can't, right? All these crossbeam connections, we know who's using Outreach, we know who's using HubSpot, we know who's using SalesLoft. The BDRs are using this to personalize emails, cold calls, and LinkedIn messages. That is helping the BDRs convert more. How do we track it? We don't. But it's partnership that helps the whole process, right? And there are so many other things like events, webinars, you name it, that is kind of like helping, like even like the video that you did, right? Like if it wasn't for partnerships, those videos we see on LinkedIn, the high quality videos of Max and the co-founders explaining their story would never exist. Nobody would see those. if it wasn't for partnerships. Do we track that? No, absolutely not. Were there deals coming from those videos? 100%. Like I can put my hand, you can cut it if there's no leads. It's like zero leads from those videos. Like I don't believe it. I don't buy it. So that's my whole point, right? It's really, really hard to track the actual attribution that partnerships has. So seeing it as purely a revenue channel is misleading. And this is not coming just from me. Like I realized this after 9 months of being in partnerships. But I've spoken to 10 plus partnership managers. We have worked for like 20 plus years strictly in partnerships. They're all like, what? You manage 200 partnerships and you're just bringing in revenue and this is how much you've brought? That's insane. Like I haven't seen this. It shouldn't be this way. Like let me please talk to your CEO. Let me consult your CEO how to do this. And I'm like, let's stop right now. I'll consume all of this and I'll try to kind of like sell the idea to the CEO.
Yeah. Do you think that there is some benefits though of being so revenue focused? Do you think like I get your I can see where you're coming from, and as you're learning about like the purpose of partnerships has to play in like the wider business, there's a lot of marketing, but do you think there should still be some revenue metrics as well? Do you think it should be a mix, or do you think it should be purely marketing based?
Look, there should be kind of like a nice balance of it. Because as I said, like a lot of these activities, you can't really track them. You can't really know what happened and how much revenue was influenced and brought in through these different activities that partners do for us. But what you can track is all these agencies that we enable and warmly, we educate and so on. So having a goal, like revenue goal for those, it's fine. But you have to also consider the influenced pipeline from partnerships.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a mix of both.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mindset thing. Is like not to justify the value of partnerships based on revenue metrics alone. There's other brand wider things going on as well. That's really
Yeah.
interesting. Um, Brilliant. And then so you mentioned you joined Warmly. It was in May 2024 as an AE. Um, how does Warmly approach sales overall? Because I think you've got a bit of a reputation. You've got warm agency, so you're actually like actually giving sales as a service, but like the warm side. So you guys are known for this. You've got awesome playbooks on your website. You guys know a lot about outbound and sales. So what does like the onboarding process look like? And then what does like the day to day look like once a rep is fully ramped?
In terms of like an in-house rep for Warmly.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends if it's an AE or a BDR. We have those kind of like two different positions, and then like the AEs have like the entry level, then you have enterprise AEs and so on. But the process is pretty similar across everybody. I can talk about my role and my kind of like experience when I was the like full cycle AE. The onboarding is super simple. You get like 2 weeks time to kind of like learn and get up to speed. Then you have like a very, very low goal to hit in the next 30 days, which is 100% achievable. And then you kind of like get up to speed and you're now like in the same box with everybody else. Those are the goals. You have to hit them, right? Um, what is good about Wormly is leveraging a lot of tools. So you will never be out of tools or out of data or out of leads or any of those things that some BDRs unfortunately are facing. So you always have very warm accounts to go after. We obviously use Warmly for this. So every data piece that we have, like for us, the CRM is the source of truth, but we also have sales engagement tools, we have LinkedIn tools and whatnot. And Warmly talks with all of these. So anytime I'm seeing somebody on the website, I know, have I reached out to them before? Which syncs are they part of? Did they come from an actual email? Did they come from a LinkedIn post? Did they come from a Google ad? What happened, what they did on the website, who they are, why are they interested, all of those different things. And on top of that, like being able to really see those high intent visitors in real time, like through the Slack notifications, it's super easy for you to book demos. Like let's say you send 50 emails today, And instead of tracking clicks, you just use a UTM code to track who those 50 people will come to the website. And the first person comes to the website, you get the Slack alert, you jump in there, you show up with your camera, you wave at them, and you say, "Hey, Joe, like I sent you an email an hour ago. You're currently spending a minute on the pricing page. Do you maybe want to schedule a Zoom call later today, early tomorrow? And I'm going to walk you through the entire process, answer all the questions for you." How does that sound? Like, it's really hard to say no to that because you're kind of like caught into the action, and it proves that the tool works. Because if you're looking at Warmly, your chances are you're looking at a solution that helps you identify who's on the site and gives you actions to reach out to them.
It's super interesting. So it sounds like you're judging. Are you? Because like I'm trying to think of like Warmly's evolution here. So have Warmly been judging how many BDRs they need based off how many leads the website can feed them? So you're would I be right in thinking you're not actually using any other sources? Like you're tracking other sources and where they're coming from, but it's like if we have this many site visitors a month and this many ICP and this many we can reach out to, then we'll work out. Is that right? You're not say going to Apollo and looking at other signals. No cold at all. Is it everything is website? Is that right?
Yeah, like like most of the high end demos you book are already people coming to the website, but we're also trying to bring people to the site that have never been there before, right? And this is where you still want to do cold outreach, right? Or you still want to do some marketing activities, like you get your TAM, you create an ICP list, you get like the highest ICP target of 1,000 prospects or whatever, and you reach out to them, and you hope that they come to the website. But the power is you will still, chances are they will not book it when they see the cold email. Like I rarely see somebody booking a demo from a cold email. It's always they saw the cold email, they saw the link of the website, they clicked there, they came to the website, they went to a bunch of pages. Bambora revealed that they were also looking on Google for chatbots, and then you know what to talk about, and then you get them on the hook and you book them on a demo.
You know what that is? I heard that is so interesting. I heard Bill Stathopoulos say he called it outbound marketing, not outbound sales. And the idea is like cold email can be used to educate, to just give value, and not with the intention of booking a demo or getting a positive reply. And it's almost like you not that you should burn your don't use the word burn, but you're much more likely to burn some people if you're more when bottom of funnel, because some people just don't like being asked for a demo even if you say it in the right way. But if you're really top of funnel, you're getting that website visit, and then so they've already been detected and you can track. So everything really does center around the website for you guys. It's so
Yes.
interesting.
Yes. It is. And yeah, Bill was one of the hosts on the Clay event last week, where I went in Bucharest. So he was also talking about these kind of like scenarios, and it just makes sense, right? Like it makes sense. Uh, Cold outreach or like traditional outbound is changing, so you can't really expect that you send an email and people will say like, "Oh, this is great. This is exactly what I need. Let's book a demo." I haven't seen that in ages. Like people don't typically respond back on cold emails either. It's like very, very rare cases. Like the average right now across all industries on like cold email is less than 1% response rate. And how many of those are positive? We don't know. Probably, I don't know, 10 is in a good scenario. So yeah, I agree with Bill that you should still do outbound, you should still do cold outreach, but do it more educational. Don't expect that somebody's gonna book a demo or like buy your product just because you did really good on cold email. They will have to see your website anyways. Like it's just logic. Even if you cold call somebody or you send an email, the first thing that somebody does if they really are interested in something and just like want to learn more, they'll go to your website. That's what they'll do. They'll go and research you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So because I'm thinking how that then works internally, whereas I would have thought like because you have demand gen, don't you, as a function? You have, I think, is it Chris's demand gen? Are they responsible then for like the cold? outbound marketing just to get website visits, and then you guys are get notified in Slack when someone visits the website, or reaching out to leads directly. I'm just trying to think how like a BDR wakes up. They are going to Warmly, aren't they? And they're looking at leads, or they're in their Slack, and it's super simple. Then they're not in
They're
a million tools.
Yeah, they're not really going into warmly as the first thing in the morning. They're going into their sales engagement tool because warmly lives into their sales engagement tool as well. So let's say if I'm a BDR and I have 200 accounts that I'm working on this month, they're automatically being tiered into 3 tiers based on website activities, based on other intent or buyer signals. So I'm gonna see like the top 20, like high potential targets, like low hanging fruits to go after. These are the first ones that I'm going after, but I'm not trying to figure out who did what manually, right? Like it's all in front of you as soon as you wake up. And then you get those real time alerts as you're working through your day. You can always stop sending cold email, like emails or um, making calls if you get a Slack alert and there's somebody on the website. And through Slack, you can jump into Wormly. This is when they actually use Wormly to see, all right, like this is what they do on their instance, this is who they are. Let me try to warm call them. And warm call is like a feature inside Wormly that you can prompt audio, prompt video, and talk to the person through the website. You're not making a phone call. So yeah, and we're currently building something really cool. You won't be actually able, like you won't need to go into Wormly at all. For example, let's say you're in a conference or somewhere and you only have Slack on your phone, you will be able to call people through the Slack channel.
Oh,
Or you can respond in the thread on Slack and it's going to automatically use the chat on your website to talk with people.
you guys are pushing it. You guys are pushing it. I remember speaking to, I think it was Benil, and he was talking about how he used AI to like rebuild the whole code base, and he had like this strangler method. And you guys really do kind of push it on the tech side.
Yeah.
Um, quick question on plays then. How do you know what plays are worth doing and what aren't doing? Like, you can go into a big rabbit hole of they're ICP but they're not buyer persona. They're ICP but they've not been active for 10 seconds. They're ICP but they have been. There's Bombora intent. Like, what do you think are the plays that are worth doing? And then what plays do you see people try to implement and they shouldn't be?
Yeah. So this is a very interesting problematic. And you kind of like when you start using tools like Warmly, you start to use intent data and you start to de-anonymize your website traffic, you have to be very careful like how you actually use the data, right? It's because there is a difference from a visitor to a visitor. Like, would you say it's the same thing if a student from a university location comes to your blog post to do some research for a project, and a person located in a headquarter of like a B2B SaaS company, like $10 million ARR, and it's visiting your pricing page? Like, do you reach out to those same people that the same, like in the same way? No, like you probably don't want to even bother the student, right? Like, leave them alone. Like, maybe send them an educational email if you want to help, right? But sales email, try to book a demo? Absolutely not, right? So you will prioritize this person that you know is an ICP fit and they're actually doing activities on the website which are indicating that he has intent to buy. Like that's the whole thing. Like intent stands for that. Like what are their intentions, right? Like why is somebody on the website? And you have to look at all these little things like pages they visit, time they spend on the website. Are they also like looking at all these like third party signals like research on Google, I don't like engage in specific LinkedIn posts or stuff like that. So the way how we do it internally is with tier the accounts, right? So tier one would be people that go to pricing page, spend like at least 30 seconds there, come back to the pricing page within 24 hours. We know who they are. They're within our ICP, and they're also researching like a competitor or something that we sell. That's like a tier one account. That's what you want to prioritize. And then the student wouldn't even be in a tier. Like you wouldn't even reach out to them. So tier four, let's say, would be somebody just came to the website. We know it's a B2B company, but we don't know who the person was. We don't know if they're interested. They spend 5 seconds. So maybe we will send like an automated sequence to them, right? Just maybe something will pop up there. But will I, as a BDR, invest 30 minutes of my day or like 10 minutes of my day trying to figure things out for that visitor? No, I'm going to focus my entire time on those tier one and tier two accounts.
Interesting. Do you think then that obviously it's dynamic, like it's not because you can say invest in warmly with say 10K a month traffic, but then say if your marketing team a year later have done such a good job, at 100K, you're going to have a different number of people who fit into different buckets. And so you're like, oh, actually, like someone who we thought was tier 3 before, we might actually put them in tier 2 because we haven't got as many I don't know, for whatever reason. But do you find that actually you just want to kind of fiddle around quite a lot, or do you think there's like a defined set of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, 4?
For us right now, there's a defined set. Like we know exactly what you need to do as a visitor to be considered tier one, two, three, or four.
Wow.
For all of our customers, they have to kind of like figure this out on their own, right? Like, and this is like the kind of like maybe like a problem that we have is like we don't really have a lot of control of what to do with your outbound motion, right? Like, how do you reach out to these people? Like, we give you all the data, we'll give you all the options to like push the data in real time and do all those sorts of things, but how you reach out and how you treat this is totally up to you and your sales motion, right? So it's different. I assume it's different from every customer to customer in terms of like who they treat as tier one, tier two. Do they actually have tiers? Like, how do they differentiate who to reach out first, who to reach out last, or like even maybe not even reach out?
Yeah. Just a quick one, Boris. Computer's about to run out of charge, so I'm just going to plug it in. Uh,
Okay.
there we go. Are you Again, you don't have to answer this one because this might be something you don't want to share. But are you happy to share what those tiering definitions are and some examples of what falls into different ones?
Yeah, as I said, like tier one is going to be people that strictly visit the pricing page multiple times. They're spending more than 30 seconds. They also have Bambora research intent, so they're looking for specific things like chatbots, sales automation, I don't know, like any other kind of like topics that we track. And obviously they are within our ICP accounts. Then tier two would be something a bit lower, like maybe they don't have the Bambora, but they're doing all the other things. Then tier three would be they're visiting random pages, they have not visited pricing, but they're spending quite some time on the website and they are coming back. And they're within our ICP. And then tier four would be spending really low seconds on the website, but they're still an ICP, right? So you kind of like want to put those different tiers into different types of workflows. And this is where we kind of like decide where do we use humans, where do we use AI, where do we use a mix, where do we completely automate everything.
Wow. Yeah, that was really useful. I think that's a good way to do it. If because we're working with a client at the moment and they're using Warmly, and we thought, how do we want to prioritize and what should we put into each bucket? So I think this is a really good system to follow. Let's move on to let's move no, yeah, let's move on to a quick fire round. We'll blitz a bunch of questions, but the first one then, what do you think? I genuinely mean this when I say this. When we went to Warmly and did filming, I genuinely felt there was something special about you guys. I felt like not only were you like A players in terms of innovators and all that, but I felt like the people were just really, really nice, like really good people. What do you think is special about Warmly? From like your opinion?
Especially in terms of like the team culture.
Anything. What do you think makes Warmly different to work at compared to another SaaS company out there?
Yeah, well, I haven't really had bad experiences in my jobs to kind of like be able to compare really bad experience to a really good experience. But Wormly is definitely a place that is like you enjoy going to work, right? Like even though it's remote, you enjoy going to work. Like I enjoy going from that room into this room to do some work, right? The reason is because first off, I really respect the CEO, Max, and the co-founders. These are a bunch of smart people that used to work at Google, and they had an idea and they took risk and they burned a lot of kind of like money and resources before they actually got to the actual idea of Warmly. So I respect those type of people, and I know that their idea is actually going into the right direction. So that's one thing. You have to, if you're kind of like working for a company, you want to know, all right, like, is the actual person that owns this ship sailing to the right direction? If yes, that's the first positive thing, right? The second positive thing is the people around you. Like, are they helping you? Are they slowing you down? Is it like micromanagement in process? Is like people kind of like get out of your way and let you figure things out? That's like what I like at Warmly as well. Like basically, like me jumping into partnership was like Max saying like, "Hey, go figure it out." Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, go figure it out, right? And I didn't have Max coming to my Slack like, "Hey, what happened today? How many, whatever," right? It's like I'm out there, they trust me, and I'm trying to figure out. Like, I'm seeing Wormly as my own business. And this is why probably like partnerships is successful and all the other kind of like aspects of the company are successful because that's how people feel and people see the company. Like they see it as their own business and they want to be successful. Another thing is Wormly gives you shares. So naturally you want the company to succeed. If it's just a salary, you don't care. Like salary, everybody gives salaries, right? Like if you do a work, you'll get a salary. But not everybody gives shares and gives like other perks, like cowboy hats, for example.
Yeah, you feel invested. You feel invested as
Yes.
well. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Ooh, I haven't thought about this in a while because like 5 years ago, I don't know like what the goal was. Like have like $100 million in the bank account and live on a Greek island. I'm not there yet, so in 5 to 10 years from now, I would say like given the experience I have so far, I will probably have kind of like my own agency or service business and just try to consult people on partnerships, go-to-market strategies, stuff like that, and spend more time with the family and the kid or
Yeah,
multiple kids.
I didn't actually realize you had you were a dad until today. So
Yeah,
that's a big one. I was actually speaking to someone earlier, and he said he was talking about how like something happens when you're a dad. Like there's a legit thing that happens, and so yeah.
yeah.
Did
Your
you?
life changes 360. Like you can't do the same stuff you have been doing before being a dad. So you have more responsibility. There's this tiny human that sees you as like the role model. Like they see you as like a giant and like what is this giant all about? Like I'm gonna copy this thing because when I grow up I want to be like them. So you have this responsibility to be the best version of yourself because this is what your kid sees every single day. So if you're like a screaming father or like you're going home and like you're all angry, this is what the kid is going to be as well. So you have to be kind of like you really have to take care of how you present yourself in front of them, what do you talk in front of them, how do you act in front of them, do you throw things, do you put things gently at the table or stuff like that. Those like little things really matter, and you kind of like you have a shift in your mindset once you actually have the kid, right? Like you can't do those things. Like the inside of you doesn't let you do certain things.
It's a hyper awareness of like what of every action you do and the consequence it has. That's interesting.
Yes.
Who are the top three voices on LinkedIn to do with sales or go to market that you're particularly into right now, and you think they're sharing a whole bunch of good value?
Have to think about really carefully. So Max is definitely going to be the one person. As the CEO and the person I'm following his vision. Um, I'm following a bunch of clay people, so I want to mention multiple people, but I would say I'll put them in the same bucket. Bill and Alex Boldovan and build a sales captain. They're sharing some really good stuff around Clay, and they're doing a lot of intent signals and those types of workflows. So I'm following that really closely because I agree with what they're doing. It's exactly the same thing that I sell. And I would say from a partnership standpoint is also going to be one person. Again, Nelson Wang. He's the guy that I learned a lot from in the very beginning. So I'm still following what he's doing, how he's consulting, because I'm kind of like trying to duplicate all these three different things that I follow in 5 years from now.
Wow. I love that. And final question then: what does 2026 look like for Warmly? What's around the corner?
Yeah, so 2026 is supposed to be really, really interesting. We're like our numbers are really looking good. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll raise Series B in 2026, which is going to be a huge boost for everybody in the company. We're gonna launch a new product, like brand new product, something that a lot of marketing operation people will really need to see and use. And it's going to be a lot more in terms of going to events, especially in Europe, and hopefully shifting how we look at partnerships.
Towards there we go. We've gone all the way back around. I love that full circle. And actually, one more question. I'm going to sneak one more question in because it's a good question. I want to make sure that we get you back on
Yeah,
time. 7 minutes. I think we'll one
all
quick.
good.
Um, I did see a post recently, and you were talking about there was a bit of a life changing trajectory where there was a party, and you had a conversation with a high net worth person, and they helped was this like the was this kind does this stand out as like the biggest mindset shift for you, or was there another event maybe or something else that happened that kind of shaped like the man you are today?
I think like that's kind of like one event that I see as a main event. It's a lot of smaller events around the same time. Like I'm 19 years old during this time, right? Like most of my perks and my friends are going out, are getting drunk, are spending their parents' money. I don't have my parents' money to spend. Like I'm not raised that way. I can barely survive. I have to work on my own to be able to pay for school. So I had to kind of like drop out of school because I didn't have enough money and start to work more. So in the beginning was like my mindset was I'll find something where I can make money real quick, become a millionaire until 21 or 22 max, maybe 24 tops, and that's it. Like I'm gonna retire and live like a king, right? But when I actually started meeting with people that have done it, it's like um, if you're like super lucky to get involved into crypto early in the days, maybe that's gonna be the case. But otherwise, you'll have to learn a lot. You'll have to probably work for others if you're coming from the same background, and you'll have to work really, really hard for a longer time to actually be able to get to some point where you kind of like start making serious money. So I spent like a lot of time speaking with this person, and this is where like the mindset shifted. Then I realized, all right, like when I go back home from this event, I'm not gonna try to find like easy ways to make money. I'm gonna try to find people that have made the money, and I'm gonna try to figure out what have been they doing 10 years before. Like that's where I am right now. Like that's where I need to start from. Like I can't look at, I don't know, like whatever, like let's say Elon Musk. I can't look at Elon Musk right now and say like, or like Elon Musk is making I don't know how many billions. What do I need to do to get to do the same thing today? No, you have to look at what he was doing in his 20s or like when he was 19. So go build a rocket in your garage first, right? Like that's where you start. But yeah, it's like that mindset shift that you really have to work hard. You have to kind of like we call it. I'm trying to translate it into English, but we say to warm up your chair, sit down, educate yourself on certain topics, learn as much as possible, work for others. There's no shame in working for others or working whatever jobs, which are, again, like legal jobs and everything. There's no shame in cleaning dishes. There's no shame in cleaning glasses. I've done it both, and it has learned a lot. Like I have learned a lot in those years and realized that no shame in work. You will figure it out. You will eventually get to a point where you have enough education about everything that you can kind of like start earning a lot of money. And when it comes to like the GTM motion, my first salary in sales was $50 a month. That's when I started making cold calls. Like that was my first month. The second month was $200. Like that was barely money to cover rent without food, right? Like just rent in Skopje during those days. So do you like give up at that moment, or do you see, or like there's this guy that I see who's making 2K a month. He started a year ago. Like maybe if I just go through another year, I'll eventually get to that point. And that's exactly what happened. Then you see another guy that makes 5K. You say like, all right, like what is he doing? Let's duplicate what works. Then you see another guy that makes 10K and 20K and 50K. And that's how you grow. Like you have to not always, but most of the time you have to find somebody that has already done it, see what they did, like learn from them and try to duplicate what works. Like don't try to invent hot water again. Like it's already there.
Yeah, it's amazing how it all comes back to like hard work and patience. Just it doesn't have to be tomorrow, and you don't want to be on easy mode. You want to be giving it
Yeah,
your
yeah.
full. Um,
If it's probably not gonna last long. So
yeah, I love it. Look, I've what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to your LinkedIn and Warmly's website in the description. Are there any other links you'd like to share, Boris? All good.
that should be enough. Yeah.
Awesome. And I just want to say, mate, thanks for coming on today. I think, I mean this when I say it. I do feel kind of like you're on to big things, and I'm kind of excited to watch your journey. And yeah, I think like, yeah, what you're doing is awesome, and just keep going, man, and excited to watch.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I think the same things for you. So I'm also following you and your journey. And yeah, excited to see some really cool videos come up from other brands because like what you have done for us is amazing.
Legend. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.